You can actually watch us on our Facebook page. We're the first in America broadcast off of Facebook. Pamela Tsai is stopping by. Born in China, I believe, an American citizen, formerly lived in Philadelphia, an outspoken critic of the censorship that's going on in China that we were really not aware of. And she's on Skype, and I can see her. Good morning, Pamela. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
and off air, Pamela lived in Philadelphia, so she is all right in our book. Let me talk to you about, we were talking about censorship. And we don't know a lot about censorship coming out of China. We think that whatever the news is, it's reported like, here, USA Today or something like that. What's behind the scenes, Pamela?
Actually, a lot of the news that people here are reading about China, they're not produced under the normal environment. Most recently, the China foreign correspondent in Beijing published a report saying that 97 of the foreign correspondents working in China, representing 40 nations, it could be the New York Times reporters, CNN cameraman, those people reported that 97% of them saying that the working condition in China can never compare with the international standard. Constantly, they're being harassed, they're being monitored, and so their sources are also being intimidated. So this is why a lot of the news that we read about China here are actually pretty compromised because they were not produced under the normal environment. So this is why we have to take a closer look about why China censored the information. And so actually it's a one-way traffic. None of the Americans media is available in China. It's strictly blocked.
Yeah. Hold on one second. So we have friends in China, in Beijing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about we emailing back and forth. I was talking about a YouTube video, and I sent the link. Mm-hmm. And then he responded, "We don't get YouTube in China. It's blocked by the government."
Yes.
And I'm like, we live on YouTube. I mean, that's where we post our videos, weddings, vacations, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we forget that they block that avenue of communications, Pamela.
Yes.
It's absolutely crazy. What if, all right, let me ask you this. What if a reporter investigated some corruption, a real reporter in the Chinese media, and could they even report it, or would they be threatened, or would they be, thrown in the river or something like that?
Well, first of all, if you want to report about the corruption or sensitive news, you have to submit an application to be approved by Beijing's authority. So you have to get their approval, and you have to tell them who are you going to report about, and you have to get approval on the source. So everything is controlled. And if the reporters want to go there on their own, they could be harassed and they could lose their work permit being a reporter in China. You heard about the New York Times. They couldn't get the work visa renewed because if they want to report independently.
So as a recap, Pamela Tsai bringing the uncensored Chinese media story to us. If there's a story of corruption and you want to report on it, you have to get permission from the government to report on the corruption. How stupid is that? Yeah. So what kind of news do we get from China these days, Pamela? If it comes out of Beijing, it's all censored, it's all pre-scripted, it's all public relations?
Yes, it's all PR and propaganda because this is how the Chinese government define the role of media. And they define the role of media to be the mouthpiece, the eye, throat, and mouth of the Chinese Communist Party. So the media is actually owned and controlled by one party state. And so they want all the news about China to be favorable to the Chinese government political propaganda and the political agenda. And they're actually exporting the China news to America. So here you could be reading the China Daily and watch the CCTV, and they're all actually controlled by the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing. They want you to think about China the way they want you to think about.
And Pamela Tsai with Epoch Media Group, by the way, talking about giving the uncensored Chinese news. And what made what inspired Pamela to come out and tell people about, what's going on behind the scenes in Beijing?
Epoch Media Group was founded by a group of Chinese Americans who actually escaped to China right after the Tiananmen massacre. And so our founder and president, John Tao, he was actually a genius student studying his PhD at Georgia Tech. And so he and his friends wanted to find an independent Chinese media that can report the China news completely free and independent from the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda and censorship. And so they later on actually launched the English version because they feel like if the New York Times or CNN cannot get the uncensored news about China to inform American people, we should be able to feel that social responsibility. So I was very proud. And, I joined Epoch Media Group last year as full-time, and I feel like this is a huge social responsibility, and American people should hear about this. So go to our website, the English Epoch Times. It's www.theepochtimes.com.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us. It's always good. I know you're born in China, but you lived in Philly for 10 years, so you're all right by me there, girl.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you, and hope you do a great job continuously. Thank you.
With the good Lord's help, we will always do a great job. Thank you, Pamela. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's fantastic. On Skype, Mr. Tiller. On Skype, baby.
You always get these beautiful women on
She was
Skype.
She's very pretty. I didn't know she was pretty. She just popped up on the screen like she's pretty. Back in a second. AM 1070, The Answer. Good job, Pamela. Great job.
Thank you.
You